on here? I just had a quick But then coming, if you come. Yeah. Why he's not coming out over. Just so I want to speak to a couple of them.
Sure. Okay, everybody, let's get started. I'm Senator Fred Akshar. I am the chairman of the Senate Standing Committee on Elections. Allow me to introduce the ranking member, Senator Comrie. Senator, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And also Senator DeLon, who is with us. Senator, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we begin, Senator, if it's okay, we have a couple of speakers. We can indulge them. First, Todd Valentine, the co-executive director of the State Board of Elections, will speak first. And then we'll move to Dustin Czarny, the Onondaga County Board of Elections Commissioner and Chairman of the Legislative Committee for the Elections Commissioners Association. So, Mr. Valentine, the floor is yours. Thank you. I'm going to have to come up. Please.
Sit down?
Please. Thank you so much. Make yourself at home.
No. No, thank you for the invitation. We appreciate, addressing the committee at any point in time and answering any questions. But one thing that I wanted to cover, and Commissioner Czarny has a couple other things on his time that he would like to cover, but what I would like to focus on is just to remind, enlighten the committee or update the committee on, a couple of big projects that the state board is engaged in that impacts a lot of people. One is we're technologically upgrading the statewide voter registration system. It's a legacy system that's been in place for over 10 years. We're almost towards the end of a 1 year. It'll probably be another 4 to 5 months before we complete it. Where we've upgraded all of the servers, all of the back-end technology to make it more efficient for transactions to go through when they get recorded. And those lists form the backbone of all the elections that are run. And that was, in part, was done with funding provided by the legislature in the budget. And that is, again, we still have more to do, but we're coming to fruition on that. Also related to that, and as was funded by the legislature, were upgrades to systems that were actually much older, the campaign finance disclosure database and what we call our candidate management system. Those all date from the mid-1990s, and our legacy systems, as we would call them. And the biggest change, and that is still at least another year in advance to go. We've been funded again through this year in the budget. Another $1.3 million was included for both the infrastructure upgrades as well as making the campaign finance system a web-enabled system, a truly web-enabled system, so filings can be done much easier for the treasurers, and we would like to increase the transparency and visibility of those filings when they're up and running. We were one of the first in the nation to actually have electronic campaign financial disclosure, so we were a leader in that. And hopefully we can gain that back again when we upgrade the system. The candidate system is more inside baseball. It's just how the information comes from the county boards to the state board for purposes of the one thing you may have seen the most is our election night reporting. That system allows us to aggregate the results that cross county lines. It's certainly something you saw in the presidential primary where people could see that as the results come in from the counties. They process them, send them to us. They post them on their own website as a backup if you're interested in local races. But that's, hopefully we're going to improve that timing in the process so we get those results sooner. And then looking ahead, something just really for the committee to consider is, our current voting technology is still quite functional. It's been well tested and operational. It really has been any issues with the operation of the system. But like any technological system, we've had it for a number of years now, and that's something that looking forward we'll have to address, whether it needs an upgrade in software or perhaps a new purchase of the system. The only downside is when we originally transitioned the state from the lever voting system to the optical scan system, that was funded wholly by the federal government in their upgrades from 2002 for the Help America Vote Act. It's something that will have to be on this legislature's radar because it's unclear that the federal government will fund it again in the future. But again, it's not something we need to change today. It's just something that it would be remiss if I didn't raise it now so that you can, we are looking towards the future. And then, Dustin?
Todd, thank you very much for the update. Senator Comrie, any
I
thoughts?
think he said his
okay.
assistant.
Sure, I can
Deputy
take questions
Commissioner.
afterwards.
Great.
Were you making a statement there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's what I thought I heard.
My name's Dustin Zarni, and I represent the New York State Elections Commissioner Association. We're a fraternal organization representing all commissioners in all 62 counties in New York State, and we're a bipartisan organization. And thank you very much for having us here today. We've been working with many of your staffs on our legislative agenda that we have and continue to push to make elections better in New York State. As I do anytime I'm invited to speak in front of the New York State Legislature, our top priority will remain the joint primary for the federal primary and the local primary, that we're going to have a separate primary this year, which in the past is estimated to cost New York State taxpayers $50 million to have these split primaries. That has remained and will remain at the top of our agenda as this cost is borne by the local counties. But we are happy to see that several of our items are on today's agenda. The electronic poll book item and the increasing of election district sizes. These are items that have been on our agenda for quite some time, and we feel that those items can help serve the voters of our member counties and also save costs as well. So we're very happy to see progress being made on those items as well. Our members, our commissioners throughout the state, are dedicated to serving the citizens of their individual counties and, of course, throughout New York State. And we are very happy to see that Senator Akshar, who's been very welcoming when he's been on the committee, has been very active with us working on our legislative items, and we're hopeful that many of them will be passed throughout the year.
Great, Dustin, thank you very much. Allow me to thank Senator Amador for being with us as well, and I will acknowledge the presence of Senator Squadron as well. Thank you. You're welcome. Senator Comrie, any questions?
You talked about the candidate management system and the campaign voter base. Could you go into a little more detail about that? What the upgrades will be able to provide?
Well, the candidate management system will make it easier for the county boards to send us the information about the candidates that are on the ballot, and then, of course, if anybody gets removed from the ballot. And we get that currently very late in the process, and what we would do is get that earlier in the process, so when they first initially gain access to the ballot, we'll know which candidates are on the ballot and if there's any subsequent removals. But that will also allow us to know what offices are up in any given year throughout the entire state, which it seems like a simple question, but given the complexity of New York State government, on any given year, you will have thousands of offices that are up for election. Not often labeled the same, but they are effectively the same office, town board, town council. So this will help us to not so much standardize that, but to gather in one spot that information in a more real-time fashion. The campaign finance system is again, the parameters of it and the data that's collected is driven by the laws. The state legislature drives that. But what we need to do is improve the technology, because currently the technology is based in 1990s software and hardware. Well, the hardware's been upgraded since then, but it's due for another upgrade. And the other key aspect is also improving the failover function in the event of a disaster. That we have a full capability. We've had copies of it, but if we needed to go, as we've learned through a number of crises that occurred, for storms, that if we don't have a full backup system to allow the state to operate in a seamless manner, should that catastrophe strike at a particularly vulnerable time. So a great deal of time is spent improving that infrastructure.
Okay. And you talked about the campaign voter base. Will that be an opportunity to open it up so that more people can see exactly what's in the voter base?
Well, the information in the voter database is, with very limited exceptions, is public information. I mean, the limited exceptions are limited. It's copies of your driver's license number is not available. That's protected by the Federal Driver Protection Act. Social Security numbers, if they're included.
What I wanted to get to, a lot of people got eliminated from the rolls this election cycle. Will this be able to allow you to see when's the last time a person voted so that they could access that easier?
The voter history, that's currently driven at a county level, but yes, I think what, is not transparent enough is that there is a process where nobody is canceled for failure to vote. It's usually for some other reason. They may have passed away, they may have moved out of the state, and it's usually if people move within the state that we're not sure where they live, and when information comes back from, we send out an annual mailing to all of the voters, and that address check comes back, they're placed on a status where they don't contact the boards in a certain period of time, and it's measured over years, not months. It's measured over a period of a couple of years. Then there's a removal process. Again, all of the time the voter is notified of that. So will the system help improve that? Those strictures are already in place. It will help us do it better. I think that's true, because we'll have that, that connectivity with the county, and they'll be able to see that. But the information itself has always been and remains to be public. I mean, it's the availability of it is limited, and as I said, in a very couple instances for personal information that can't be released. But all of the counties that I know of have a voter lookup function, allow people to examine where they can vote, and what their registration status is. We certainly have one on the state level that makes that available.
So those are independent functions, each county has it different?
It's a duplicate function, I would say, because some voters don't, the voters don't always, it would be hard for an election process to set up a central spot for everybody to go to get that information, because many voters like to go to their local boards to get the information. That's what they know. So we end up having some overlapping processes, because we know that people don't want to always go to one single source of information. That can present a problem if the information is not synchronized, but it also is a strength for us in that we've distributed the workload so people aren't all trying to go through one computer system to look all up at the same time, because it's usually focused right around deadlines. So by having that distributed network is also a benefit to us. But it does prevent those situations where we have to make sure that the two systems are synchronized so people are seeing the same information.
Okay.
So if I could just ask a quick follow-up to that. I mean, can you offer any type of explanation as to why there were so many people kicked off in Brooklyn?
Well, not at this time. I mean, we are talking with the New York City Board of Elections to look at the pattern, you look at the processes they use, and that's certainly something we'll be working on this afternoon, to see if there was an operational issue from the staff reviewing the determinations to remove voters from the list, or changes in enrollment, or was there a technological side? What we do see is that the information did get through the system, so it worked to that extent, but it goes towards whether it was synchronized at the time it needed to be. So if a voter looked on one system, did they see one piece of information, versus on another system like the statewide system, did they see something that was different? But I don't know what the answer is to why that gap is there, but that's certainly something we're looking at, and we are investigating and reviewing that.
Thank you, Senator Dilan.
My question was basically the same thing in terms of what is your role as a New York State Board of Elections with regard to the purge in Kings County, and why did it occur only in one county, or was there purges in all 5 counties or throughout 62 counties?
Well, that's a good question.
And what's your role?
Yep. Well, the role of the State Board is we are the, for lack of a better term, the keeper of the statewide voter registration list. But all the decisions as to who is on the list, whether they're added or removed, are all made at the county level. And that's all pursuant to the Constitution. So we just have to have the single list. They do all the work to enter people, feed that information up, or remove them if that occurs. So all of those decisions are made at the county level. Voters, as I said, are removed over the course of a year for any number of reasons. Typically, they pass away, they'll move.
With the current purge,
Yep.
When did it occur? Do you know when it occurred for this cycle?
My understanding, and I don't know the exact dates, I apologize for that, is that, the cycle for most boards follows, for voters who, the term we use is inactive. And that's usually because we've have information, usually a mailing went out, we don't know where you live. It comes back, we have a question as to your residency. You're still registered to vote. If you come in to vote, we're reactivated, not a problem, nothing happens. But if over a course of a period of time, and it's measured in years, it's usually 2 federal cycles of elections, so that means in the odd year, then if we haven't heard from somebody in the prior 4 years, it's 4 to 4.5 years, depending upon when the mail came back, then at that point, a final notice would be sent to the voter, say, we haven't heard from you, we need to remove you from the list, and that's usually done in the winter of the odd year throughout the state after the last federal election.
2015?
Yes.
Okay. One more question with respect to your voter database. Is it going to be more accessible to the public? Because I believe the way it operates right now, I would need your birthday in order to look up a voter. If I wanted to see my information or my son's information or someone else's information, I need to know their birthday in order to access their information.
Yeah, there are restrictions. There's a specific restriction placed in statute on the State Board of Elections for distribution of that information, and it has to be, we can only release it for election purposes, and without knowing more, it would be difficult for us to release that just make it so widely available on the web. It's not that it's not available if a request for the information was provided, it's just that we're limited in how we can release that information.
So with your new database, you still require the birthday?
Well, it still has that limitation. That didn't change. The statute hasn't changed for those restrictions. So that's how we apply, that's how we read that statute.
So it's not very accessible to the public? You would have to know if you have a petition or you're verifying a petition, you need to know everyone's birthday.
Well, if you're going to look up one at a time on the website, it's not that the information isn't available, it's just not available immediately on the website, because that would also not be able to have the state board meet its own mandate of not allowing that information to be released for non-election purposes. It wasn't designed, I think one of the fears when the database was set up on the statewide level, which is a new concept, was that there would be, I guess, wholesale phishing oppositions. There would be a lot of commercial enterprises trying to use the information improperly, so they put a restriction on that for that reason, because it is a large number of records.
But then I could turn around and buy that same information, isn't that correct? Either from the board or from a third party.
Well, I can't control it from a third party, obviously, but if any of that information is released from us, there is a statement that is provided by the person who obtains that information that they will use it only for election purposes. And if it's found out the case that they're not, well, then that's something that could be subject to prosecution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
I just wanted to hope that you could come back to talk about the issues of the ballot. You said that we're talking about the machines, and the time we have the machines, the actual ballot itself is sometimes difficult to read, and hoping there's a software update or that we can talk about, or something to about making it easier for people to read the ballot.
Oh, we'd be glad to. I mean, it's certainly the upgrades in the standards for the ballot is something that's being looked at not just in New York State, but also on a national level. That's one thing the Federal Election Assistance Commission is reviewing, the standards for how voting systems get approved. And then it's always one of the things that has to be addressed is you have to have affordability and compactness, but you also have to be able to read it.
Thank you.
I just have one quick question. In terms of the federal money, HAVA money, has that all been spent?
No, that's part of the funding we're using to do the upgrades for the statewide voter registration list. In round numbers, we have approximately $4 million of the original money that we got spent. That was 2004. I think we had about $240 million. The bulk of it went to the purchase of voting systems for the entire state, as well as the original development of the statewide voter registration list. And knowing that we'd have to do upgrades in the future, we did not set it aside, but we have a little bit of that funding left, and we're hoping to spend that over the next 2 years.
Thank you.
Mr. Zarni, one last question for you from me. Would you say the single most important issue from your organization standpoint is the consolidation of primaries?
That is our top legislative priority, followed closely by a bill that is going through the Education Committee right now, which is the closure of schools on general election day. Those are our top two priorities. We have 13 legislative priorities for this year, and many of them are being addressed, so we're hopeful that list will be reduced.
Thank you. All set, Mr.
Yes,
Senator Cameron?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's start the agenda then.
Thank you.
And thank you both for coming. Okay, we'll start with print number 60B, sponsored by Senator Squadron.
An act to amend the election law in relation to political contributions.
Mr. Chair, can I ask if we could allow the sponsor to speak to this bill, if that's possible?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank the chair and the ranking member. I'll speak briefly, so as not to delay your meeting.
You're giving him 60 seconds?
Give him 2.5.
I thank you, Senator Amador, as well, for your prescient suggestions. This bill would close the so-called LLC loophole. It's appropriate. We had representatives of the Board of Elections here. This is not something that exists in the law. It was opened, in my view, in error by the Board of Elections in a 1996 ruling. The way this bill would do it is it would create transparency where now there is none, so that you could actually get to the source of who was contributing in the name of an LLC. It would also take LLCs, limited liability companies, and treat them like corporations in the election law, which I think was always the intent of the election law. It still allows, just as a corporation can, an LLC to participate in the political process at that level, not as a way for individuals and other corporate interests to skirt campaign finance regulations by creating unlimited, often anonymous sums of dollars that flood the political system. Something you've heard me talk about on the floor many times, Mr. Chair, even in your short time here. It's also something that appeared in both of the corruption trials, both the Senate and the Assembly leaders that happened over the course of the last year. Editorial pages across the state, the governor, the Assembly, including 3/4 of the Republican members of the Assembly. I know Senator Amador formerly was a member of that conference, voted to close this loophole for, in fact, this bill. So it's important that we do it, and I would also urge the chair not to reference it to the Codes Committee, where I'm the ranking member, and believe me, this is not a bill that, under the current practice of the Senate, should go to the Codes Committee, but instead to reference it to the floor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there a motion to report?
So move, second.
We'll be referring this particular bill to the codes.
Can we get a specified vote on the bill as presented?
Certainly. I am without rec.
Oh, okay.
I vote yes.
I vote yes, and Senator Krueger, who I have, votes yes.
We have 4 without rec and 1 aye. In addition.
I voted without rec.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Senator Squadron, thank you very much.
Thank you, and just with the indulgence of the chair, can I just ask did the Codes Committee request the secondary reference to the Codes Committee, or what is it? Because I know last year the Elections Committee referenced it to the Corporations Committee, and this year it's to the Codes Committee, and just curious what this is.
It was requested by the Codes Committee.
By the chair of the Codes
That's
Committee.
right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Is that your understanding?
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. A couple inches away from the right on that.
Couple inches.
Allow me just to say one thing. I said it was by the chairman. I'm not entirely sure that that's the case. It was not requested by me to go to codes. It came from somebody else other than me,
Okay.
for the record.
Thank you for that clarification. That's what I was getting at, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, second bill, 338A, sponsored by Senator Hoylman.
An act to amend the election law in relation to the use of campaign funds to pay attorney's fees.
Motion to report.
Motion.
Second.
Bill is moved.
Bill moved.
Print number 561 by Senator DeFrancisco. Oh, excuse me. Allow me to back up. 338A is referred to investigations. Print number 561, sponsored by Senator DeFrancisco.
An act to amend the election law in relation to party nominations for candidates for county office.
Motion to report?
Motion. Second. I do have one nay by Senator Krueger and without rec by myself.
Senator Krueger be recorded in the negative. Senator Comrie without recommendation. Print number 1384 by Senator Marchione.
An act to repeal Section 3-408 of the election law relating to election inspectors and clerks.
Motion to report?
Second.
Thank you. Bill is moved. Print number 2352 by Senator Stuart Cousins.
An act to amend the election law in relation to prohibiting the suppression of voters.
Motion to report?
Motion.
Second.
I am without recommendation on this particular bill. Any no votes?
No.
Okay, thank you. Print number 3813B by Senator Stuart Cousins.
An act to amend the election law in relation to early voting and to repeal certain provisions of such law relating thereto.
I have a motion to report.
Motion.
Second.
This bill will be referred to local governments. Thank you. Print number 4420, Senator Marchione.
An act to amend the election law in relation to requirements of witnesses to a designating petition or independent nominating petition.
Motion to report.
Make a motion.
Seconded by Senator Comrie. The bill is reported. Print number 5085 by Senator Griffo.
An act to amend the election law and the education law in relation to making absentee ballots available in Braille and large print.
The motion to report.
Make a motion.
I have a without rec from Senator Krueger and from Senator Griffin, just Senator Krueger.
Okay, without recommendation, Senator Krueger, the bill is reported. Print number 6581 by Senator Akshar.
An act to amend the election law in relation to authorizing computer-generated registration lists in relation to the list of supplies to be delivered to poll sites.
Motion to report.
Make a motion.
Second. I have a without rec from Senator Martin DeLon. That's it.
So noted. Bill will be reported. Print number 6818 by Senator Avella.
An act to amend the election law in relation to ensuring certain notification requirements are cost-effective and efficient.
Motion to report.
Make a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Comrie. Bill. Print number 6833A by Senator Savino.
An act to amend the election law in relation to providing special ballots for emergency responders.
Motion to report.
Second.
Thank you both. Bill is moved. Print number 6979, Senator Akshar.
An act to repeal subdivision 8 of section 4-104 of the election law relating to the amount paid to lease a polling station.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you both. Print number 7009 by Senator Ritchie.
An act relating to extending the time within which certain elected officers may file their oaths of office.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Have three without rec from Krueger, myself, and DeLon.
Those three without rec are noted. Thank you very much. Print number 7071 by Senator Akshar.
An act to amend the election law in relation to adding an optional section to voter registration forms to allow for email addresses.
Have a motion?
You really want to do that? Make a motion.
Thank you, Senator Amador, very much.
Oh, second.
Thank you, Senator Comrie. Bill is moved.
Watch out, man.
Print number 7072A by Senator Akshar.
An act to amend the election law in relation to increasing the number of registrants an election district may contain with the approval of the County Board of Elections, authorizes increase in county committee.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Have a second?
Yes.
Bill is moved. Print number 7090 by Senator Valesky.
An act to amend the election law in relation to filing electronic copies of political communications.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you both. Bill is moved. Print number 7381 by Senator Murphy.
An act to amend the election law and the penal law in relation to penalties for unlawful campaign contributions to county or town committees.
Motion.
Second. Have three without rec from Krueger, myself, and Martin DeLon. Krueger says it should be referred to code since it amends the penal law.
Comments are noted. Thank you all. We will be adjourning the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.